Avery.com, Avary, for the most up-to-date news and information on Team Avery.
Avery, 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 Avery,
This is The Gala Show. I'm your reporter on the beat, Gala Avery. On this episode, you may know my guest as an actor from one of your favorite TV shows. He's appeared in everything from Brooklyn Nine-Nine to This Is Us. Or maybe you've seen him on the stage at the Actors Gang down in Culver City. Or maybe, just maybe, you know him as one of the hottest vegan chefs around. But here on The Gala Show, I know him as the guy who is given me a lot of inspiration in yoga, Ayinde Howell. Hey, Ayinde.
Hey.
Honestly, when I first started, because I did yoga like when I was a kid and stuff, and then I went to that angel class.
Yep.
And that was like my first ever like yoga class back last January.
Yep.
And I remember seeing you and you were just so strong. And she always would make you do those like handstand scorpion kickback.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah, I started doing yoga when I was a kid too. Like as a matter of fact, I was back home for the holidays, and we used to be at this local community center called the People Center. Mm-hmm. And I went up there. I just kind of walked up there again, but I remember for some reason my mother found it, and it was like the local People Center where they would have, you get like a little panel like, what is, taekwondo, yoga, basketball.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's like the little like newsletter that kind of goes out to the community.
Very old school. And she took us there on Sundays, and then or Sunday morning I think it was, and what I liked about it was she used to chant. She used to do
like the Kundalini chants.
Yeah, but it was a regular yoga, but she would start it off with like the chant, the Om or whatever it is, and I remember I caught like the
vibration.
The vibration.
Yeah.
Like
it feels so good.
Yeah, and that was the first time I heard it, and I was like, oh shit, like what is this?
Well, it's the funny thing is in some yoga classes I go to, they will open or close with an Om.
Yeah.
But it's very rare now.
It's very rare now.
It's weird because I remember when I was a kid, my mom, she became a certified yoga instructor, and then she helped get yoga as a PE option at my school.
Oh, really?
And so we had a yoga teacher and instructor, and she would always Om, which I thought was really cool as a kid because it's like, again, the vibration and the sound. But nowadays, I don't really find it as much. I feel really like honored kind of when someone closes a class with it.
Yeah. And they always, in LA, they always like, okay, if you want to do this, if you want to join us, we're going to Om now. It's like, just do the Om, man. Shit. I like it. Let's do the Om.
Come on, hurry up. Om or bust.
Right. Like, I'm going for it. Every time we Om in the LA class, I'm going for it.
You're going for it. So before I bring up the topic before you bring up the topic for today, because I don't know what it is yet, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I'm vegetarian. I'm a lifelong vegetarian.
Yes.
And I always like asking this question to people that I know have diets similar to me. What made you go vegan?
Okay, so I too am a lifelong.
Oh, you're a lifelong vegan.
Yeah,
Vegan or vegetarian?
Vegan.
Okay.
Yeah, so my parents, who were actually, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Tacoma, Washington. My parents lived here for a while though, because my father grew up out in Monrovia after like high school, or for high school time. And anyway, they went through all of the like civil rights activists, black nationalists, ended up landing on being vegan and Rastafarian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Are you also a Rastafarian?
I don't, at religion these days, I'm like, I haven't found one that
sits
not,
with you, yeah.
Yeah, because everything is so, it's like, it's good to a point to be like, but women, or like, it's but gay people. It's like,
I was talking to my friend about that because he's out in Colorado Springs and he's trying to find like a club or something to join for school.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, maybe I'll go do a religious thing. Like, do you do that? And I was like, no, like I'm deeply spiritual, but I haven't found an institution that I agree with because there's always something.
There's always something.
There's always something that I just don't agree with.
And then like, if you're thinking about religion is supposed to be the thing where you're getting closer to God and like being more like, why do we hate those people?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right? Like, why does it fuck those people?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So what made you stay vegan then? Because I
Okay.
think a lot of people, like when you're in a household that is vegetarian or vegan, you eat like what your mother or father makes
Right.
you. And then kind of when you go maybe to college or out in the big world, you have those opportunities to no longer make those same decisions. And I've seen people completely just kind of like flip and just
Yeah.
not do it. My brother is a great example because he went and shortly after college, he ate meat for like a little while. They went to Thailand, they traveled around, and then he came back and he's like, it's just not worth it to
Yeah.
me. Like he just the feeling that I have, like
Yeah.
the goodness that I have when I don't eat
Yeah.
that is like better than eating it.
Yeah. So I don't have the comparison, right? So I was homeschooled growing up.
I was also.
So yeah, I think we got to talk about this because we had very similar.
I think we've had very similar upbringing and without me really knowing it.
Yeah. But that generation of people, right? The generation of people was they were seekers, you know? So anyway, and I think I have a little bit of that spirit in me myself. And like, I liked the food because my parents, we had a garden. So we grew a lot of food. So my relationship to food is very different too.
Yeah.
Because like a potato would sprout, you put it in the ground, you get more potatoes. You know, we're growing thyme and there's plums and there's tomatoes.
And there's overflowing basil and the
Yes.
mint never leaves the ground. You better not put it in there.
Yes, and the sage, yeah. So by the time and then everybody cooks in my family. Like I'm the only like I cook as you see as you said, but I'm like the runt of the family and when it comes to cooking. Yeah, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, he was actually known as the fried chicken king in Tacoma. Like
Really?
he had the best recipe for fried chicken in Tacoma, right? My father had two other brothers. But my father was the only one who decided to be vegan, right? So he tried to take all of that sort of Alabama seasoning cooking and then translate it. He was
Into
like,
veganism.
but we're gonna be vegan. And so, you know, of course, this was like late 70s, 80s. So
Yeah, because that's like my mom, I think, went vegan or vegetarian. She went vegetarian like mid 80s, and my dad kind of followed suit after he met my mom. But they would tell me like how difficult it was to even find tofu.
Yeah. We had, you know what's funny? We had like a co-op near our house. And it was one of those like, do you remember these? Like the hippie run, just you walk in, people just wearing wraps.
Look, I grew up out in Ojai back when people, before they knew what Ojai was. So yes, I remember them.
Yes. And it's crazy how like Erewhon is that now, but you have to pay your child to shop there. But I was in Erewhon the other day. I was like, this is the co-op with people nobody went to, but like, you know, it was just a small community of people who went, who knew about it because it was called natural food back then.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
There was like, the natural food movement. Very fringe, very different. Like veganism today is the opposite.
Is 100% different, I feel like, than what veganism
It's the
used
opposite.
to be.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's literally unhealthy.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy. But anyway, so I often the one man show that I'm working on, I talk about my father a lot, and I talk about his influence on me, and his influence was he was just so sure about being vegan. He was so sure about everything that like you around somebody like, okay, I mean, I guess like you're the boss here, so you seem like you know what's going on, and then the food was good, and then so. And I was always afraid of like getting in trouble if I didn't.
Are you a first child?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're a baby. Okay.
So
you're a
I
baby.
saw my older sisters get in trouble for doing everything under the sun. Oh my God, they were terrorists. They were a little terrorist. But somebody came, and I'm a Virgo, so I'm very analytical.
Yeah.
So I was just like, if I do that, that equals that. And this is fine. I don't need to do that to get to that. I'm just gonna stay over here. Like that was my thinking. I had rebelled in other ways and stuff. I always loved to like be outside and run the streets, and I love the nightlife and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think when it came to food, and I accidentally had some egg once, and like I think early, like when I was like 20 or something like that, and tore my stomach up.
Yeah, people
like
don't
3
realize
days.
that. Like, if you don't eat meat,
You don't have
you
enzymes.
you get kind of sick when you
When you try it.
when you can try it or when you consume it. Your body's not used to processing it.
Yeah. So that was like my first shock. And then like after that, I was like, I lived in New York for a while, so it was fine. It was easy to live in New York and be vegan. And I lived in New York at a time when like, artsy different people was in. So it was like, you're vegan. Okay, cool. So I was just kind of, I haven't, and then I worked as a chef in New York, I always found employment through my specialty, which is like, oh, you can cook vegan food and make it taste good. Okay, yeah, we got a job for you here.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's a specialized skill in the chef world. So I've always been able to do that. And then the only time it really comes up with is like women dating, right? Dating, right? So like you go out on a first date and then it's like, I'll have the salad. You know what I'm saying? And women are like, well, you don't eat meat, and it becomes like a thing because it's like, oh, how are we going to share food together? How are we going to share joy together? How are we going to, what can I cook at home? Blah, blah, blah. And it becomes like that's the only time it's become like a thing.
Like a bone of contention.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can also relate to that, unfortunately.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, as always, my guest gets to bring their topic to the mic. So, Ayinde,
Yes.
what's your topic and why did you decide to choose it?
I still haven't really chose it yet. I think, but okay, I'm an amateur conspiracy theorist.
Okay. Those are my favorite kind.
Yeah, because I'm curious about stuff. And the last thing that I was really curious about was electromagnetic energy. Because I was just like, what is that about? How come we don't learn about that?
Yeah, and you were in Egypt.
And I was in Egypt. Yes. Yeah, and I went to the pyramid.
The pyramid, yeah. And
I felt something in there.
Well, we're going to talk about that,
yeah.
I know for sure.
I was reading something. I was like, I wonder how much energy it takes to like communicate with Wi-Fi on your phone. And it's like it takes 1 watt of energy. And then I was like, okay, how much do humans produce? It's like 100 watts of energy. And I was like, man, okay, so how does Wi-Fi and Bluetooth work? And it works on this band. I think it's 2400 megahertz or something like that. I'm not sure. It works on this band called like the medical science industry band, right? But there's like, you have to have a license to use it. It's in the air.
I'm glad that you have figured this out because this is a question that I have asked my entire life. Like, how does Wi-Fi work? Like, I just don't understand.
Okay. So I was trying to figure this out too. And I was like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm fucked, right? So like, how do I get my phone to work? And I was like, okay, it's got to take like 1,000,000 watts of energy. It takes 1 watt of energy, and the band that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth communicate on is a low energy frequency, right? So, but it's right here. It's in the air.
You're like grabbing the air.
I'm grabbing the air. It's because radio, television, like okay, when I grew up, you had to have a telephone, you had to have a big old television, you had to have a stereo box. Now, all of that happens on a phone, and it's just, and none of it's physical anymore. So we didn't just invent that; it's there. But you don't see how excited I am about this.
Who put it there?
What? Okay, yeah, and it's like, okay, if it's just there, and if it's just there, then like, what else can it do? And then I like sci-fi books and stuff as well. Jesus, Andy. And I was thinking about this book as I was talking called The 3-Body Problem. Mm-hmm. It's a trilogy, and it's about aliens like coming to Earth, but they time travel in it, and then they go through different makeups of society. Like he'll go like 100 years, and then because the alien's gonna take 400 years to get here, so they're like, oh, we gotta cryo freeze people to like fight the aliens. So anytime this guy wakes up, he's in a different society. He's still on Earth, and in one society it was like, oh, they're like pulling energy out of the atmosphere to like power this, cool forest city or whatever. But when I think about stuff like that, I'm like, okay, the knowledge is there if you go look for it, but it's not, you don't learn about it, because with Wi-Fi, with people being able to use like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and like communicating that, because if you can use your phone on Wi-Fi and you cut out the telephone company, you know what I'm saying? Like
knowledge is power.
Exactly. Like that's free. Wi-Fi, when you go to another country, what do you look for? Wi-Fi. It's free. It's right there. And we don't have access to it. Like but the whole phone system is such a scam anyway. Do you remember like roaming charges on cell phones?
I remember way back when you had to pay per text.
Oh my God. Yes.
And now everyone has unlimited text messages.
Yes.
I was thinking about that the other day. But that everyone has unlimited text.
Yes.
But before we get into the topic, it's time for a commercial break. Back by popular demand, the Video Archives merch store is up and running. Get your favorite t-shirts, hats, notebooks, stickers, and more at videoarchivesmerch.com. You know me. I write all my notes in the Notes on Cinema notebook, the Gall edition, of course. Check out videoarchivesmerch.com to get yours today. Hey, thanks so much for being a loyal listener. If you want to keep up with me off mic, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Gala Avery. And we're back. I think I know what our topic is then for today. I think we're going to start out by talking about conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And I have 30 minutes on the clock, and our time starts now.
Okay.
Before we started rolling on the mic, Ayinde and I were talking because the TikTok ban happened and then didn't happen within like 24 hours. And Ayinde, you said something that was really interesting to me because I've never used TikTok, not once in my life. I use Instagram Reels. They're very curated, as my friends will know. But you said that TikTok was kind of the place that you went when you wanted to share stuff or research stuff that like you didn't really know if you wanted to share with other people.
Yeah. I was like, TikTok is like early internet for me. Like when you could just kind of hop on and be anonymous, because it's like I know a lot of people on Instagram.
They know you.
They know me, moreover, and Facebook and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, but okay, because like you said, it has to be so curated, right? It's like, oh, I gotta like make a reel.
Okay, no. Mine is like when I'm looking at Instagram, I am like looking at what they call brain rot, like 100%, because I grew up like 2006 internet forum boards.
Yes.
So
Okay.
like, I used to be like a forum board kid. Like I would be on there completely anonymous. I had friends that like I never knew what they looked like, what their names were. I only knew them by their screen names.
Yes.
And that's kind of why this whole Gen Alpha brain rot doesn't really bother me so much, because they have like their Skibbity Riz toilet, but I had my XD Rafflecopter. Right. So it's like, it doesn't really bother me.
Right. Yes. And I had like chat
it.
rooms. Yes.
Yeah. And you had chat rooms. So like, it doesn't really bother me. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, it's different, right? Because like the internet is new to some people and the internet is life to some people. Like it's still novel to like me and you. Cause like when you got into it, you were like, oh, this is cool. What is this?
It was like the Wild West.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of what TikTok reminds you of.
It was the internet, not your internet.
Yeah.
And right now, like the algorithm is like, oh, this is what we think you like.
And it's so funny, actually, you're a great person to say this too, but like, I always think about the algorithm because like they should know by now that I don't eat meat. So why do they keep on giving me meat videos and like keep putting it in my feed? They should know by now that I keep on saying, I don't want to see that. And they should know by my searches.
Yeah.
But like, so who's controlling my algorithm?
I think it's all about sales. It's all about like what they want, what they think your demographic will do.
Yeah, it's like a sales tool now instead of like a fun place for us to just.
But that's all that like an influencer is now. It's like you're a salesperson. Like the aspiration of Instagram and social media is to become a salesperson.
You are in sales.
Or Walter Cronkite. Did you know? Like all these expose videos. I'm like, who knew everybody wanted to be a fucking Walter Cronkite? Ted Koppel. This is like, did you know? And they got the green screen behind. I'm like, no, I didn't know this actually.
And I don't know if I needed to know this.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of this, so I was going down all these different rabbit holes around like frequency and then like sound. Cause I was like, well, what if? So I posted and I'm like, okay, I have amateur like theories because like, all science starts from theories. So like, you just have to do it long enough.
Well, there's science fiction and there's science fact.
Exactly. So I'm somewhere in the middle. So I'm like, okay, I know this information. I was like, what was I looking up? I was looking at frequencies, and where did I go down? Went down this rabbit hole about bells.
Okay, because the church bells used to be at the certain frequency because when they would ring them, it would apparently cleanse people of demons. And so I think about that all the time because the church bells now a lot of them are digital.
Yeah.
And they're not actually the physical bell.
Digital?
Yeah. A lot of them have like sound speaker systems now.
Oh, wow.
A lot of churches do, which I think is really interesting. But a real bell at the frequency that it vibrates at the church specifically is said to like ward off demons.
I found that. And because it was like the neighborhood I grew up in, there's a church right behind our house, and they have a bell, and I can't. I was just wondering. I was thinking. I wonder if they still ring it. And then there was a bell like down the street from us near like the county building. But I remember hearing bells as a kid, and now I don't hear bells.
I think it's the same thing with wind chimes.
Yeah.
That's like why people keep wind chimes.
Okay.
Also, it's like because of these certain
yes.
frequencies, because it keeps away things. But you're right. I remember hearing bells all the time when I was a kid, and where have all the bells gone?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Apparently they like melted them all, or they cracked them, or something like that. And then, because you know how when you get down the conspiracy rabbit hole, like you only go so far, and then it's just everybody making the same video, like, well, this happened and this happened. And the Sumerians game was like, okay, hold on a second, let's stay here, let's stay on the bells.
Well, it's actually the same thing that we talked about though with the ohm. It's
Yes.
the vibration and the frequency
Yeah.
that helps align your body.
I believe that. I love when we ohm in yoga class, and like or because I did a teacher training too, and we studied Sanskrit a little bit. Did you guys do
We
that?
did like a little bit.
Yeah,
of it,
I did like a couple days of it. Or no, we actually had like a workbook of it. Because I did mine with this Jivamukti, the New York. It was like, I don't know. They always were like, we existed before Yoga Alliance, so we don't abide by their rules.
I kind of like that. I learned all about the Yoga Alliance. Speaking of like organizations, I did not know that like it was, I don't know, Yoga Alliance. Don't you have to like pay $100 a year to get your certification?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
For-profit thing. Yeah.
It's a whole thing. I mean, that's the whole like Western
version
of yoga. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but the whole yoga, there was so many scandals, and because remember there was like the Bikram yoga guy.
That's the funny thing. So I do 26 and 2 now because I'm not doing yoga at Soho House right now because they're not offering it. So I do like Bikram yoga, and I do the 26-2 sequence, but they call it 26 and 2 because they can't use the word Bikram because he had the sexual assault claim, or he actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was alleged or if it was true.
Right.
But so they can't use his name. So they use 26 and 2. So whenever you see 26 and 2, it is Bikram.
Oh, I
but
didn't
they
know
just
that.
can't use the name of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, the Bikram thing was crazy, and there's all these like the swamis and the
Yes.
gurus, and yeah, it just
Which is why, like, I was like, one day, like, I as a child of a deeply spiritual child of conspiracy theorist, hippie, vegan, Rastafarian parents, I will probably start a cult one day. But my cult is going to be cool.
that's what I always say. I'm like, okay, I could join a cult, I could
Yeah.
start a cult, I could be the chairwoman of a cult, I could
Yeah.
be the organizer of one, but it would just have to be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like, we'll be real front. Like, okay, listen, people are going to have sex with each other. Just be in a. I don't care.
Consensual.
Just be consensual. I'm not going to make you do anything, right?
Do it if you want to.
Do it if you want. Do it if you don't. We're gonna be doing yoga. We're gonna eat vegan food. We're gonna be like,
That just sounds
growing.
like West Hollywood. It's funny though, because like I row at Row House, and we are a cult
Yeah.
for sure. Like when
Yeah.
I first joined, someone joked that we were a cult,
Yeah.
and then like I'm 2 years in, I'm like, I am a cult member.
Yeah.
I am inducting people into a cult like actively.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the Actors Gang Theater. Like when I went there last year, I was like, I'm just gonna take a class. I'm not, because as an actor, you're very susceptible to cults as well. Like it's just,
Well, it's cults of personality.
yes, exactly.
And it's like you gravitate towards other people who have similar ideas as you, probably, and similar visions and goals
Yes.
and minds.
Or just like has like
open-minded.
open-minded. There's good energy. It's like people build their houses, right? Like you after a while you get enough energy, you build your own house. It's like it's a version of like like a house you live in, but like the house that you go to do stuff. For instance, so like Tim Robbins owns or started the Actors Gang Theater, and he's the artistic director. So like you have that sort of energy that's still there, right?
Yeah.
Even when because he's off working on a show now.
Because he's put his energy into the place.
Exactly, right? And so when you find like somebody's house that you vibe with, I try, I'm there for as long as I want to be. But you also, it depends on like whether you want your own house, your own cult or whatever. Like I joke about calling it a cult, but it's really just like, where do you center all of your energy? What is it going to be? Is it going to be, and I do like the theater. I was really happy to come back into the theater because after I took the class and I started doing a thing, and I had asked for it too. I wrote it down end of year, like what
Like
I
a
wanna
vision,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, like next year I want to do this, and then I got it, and then this year I'm doing my own show at the theater. So I'm like, okay, I'm mastering this manifesting thing.
Manifesting is powerful. I mean, it's funny though, because I tell people it's like manifesting is the exact same thing as prayer.
Yeah.
It's just under a different word.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
because like I pull tarot, and a lot of times I'll have guys, like my male friends, and they're kind of like interested in it. And I'm like, okay, it's just reflection. It's not, for me, I don't see it as like fortune telling. I just see it as reflection and prayer and manifesting. And you just have the ability to have a conversation with yourself.
Yes.
And that's all it is.
Yes.
And so I've had guy friends be like, okay, well, I need to have a conversation with myself. And I'm like, well, okay, great. Then let's have one. So.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at tarot. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because it's like, it's just me and my deck. And I
Yeah.
have a really good book that like has like for every single situation, like a kind of what is so about it.
Yeah.
And you pull a card, and then a lot of times it's not something you want to hear. But that's just why you have to confront yourself with that possibility of like, how would I react in that situation? At least that's how I see my tarot deck.
I can't say I really understand tarot. Like I've participated in,
I don't like it when other people pull for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I only really will pull for myself, or my mom will pull for me.
Okay.
I find it like really personal.
Yeah.
And so when other people pull for me, like maybe they don't really know who I am or what it is, but I've pulled for others before, and it'll just be like, I won't even have them tell me what they're asking. I'll just be like, okay, here's the card. And like, this is kind of what it means. Like if it pertains to your situation, like this is kind of it, because like, I don't want to necessarily influence them. It's more just so they can have the thought of like, oh, if this is the case, like how would I deal with it? Or how do I want to approach it?
No, I'm trying to think. I think I've usually pulled, because I've done it in ceremonies with Angel, or like sound baths, or and all that stuff as well. I think it's very key who you do it around.
I agree.
When you open up your energy body.
Yeah.
Like I'm very like, who do I fuck with? Who do I not fuck with?
Well, because also when you open up your energetic body, and there other people, they can affect your vibration, and they can affect like what's going on in yourself.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's my other thing, right? So back to the conspiracy theories thing, is like, I think there's truth in a lot of stuff. And I think that we put limits on what is possible with, like, we call it like woo woo or that kind of stuff, or blah, blah. Like, it's just there. Like and a lot of things do not require our belief to be true. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, it requires our knowledge about what it is, and how to activate it, because everything in nature, the law of nature is cause and effect, is balance, right? Cause, effect. Our imprint on that is cause, side effect, effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like what we do, I think we overdo it a lot, versus, because it's always so simple. It's always just really simple. It's like, if you can find, so I did a mushroom ceremony with Angel last year, maybe a year and maybe it's 2 years now, I don't know. But it was a couple people from yoga, and a couple people I didn't know, and everybody was having a separate experience.
A unique experience.
Yes. But we did all the, it was very, very, one dude was like, he was just eye patches, like, I'm just doing this. Another lady which had lost her brother recently, she was crying a lot. And there was another lady who was late and stuff. And I was having a ball. I was like an hour in, I was just like, this is amazing. And like, they were trying to do it clinically and stuff. And I was just like, and Andrew was like, you can do whatever you want. I was like, really? She said, yeah.
God, she is so chaotic. I love Angel. If you're listening, I love you so much, but you are so chaotic, and she'll totally own that.
Yeah. And she was like, you can do whatever you want. And I was just like, okay, I want to get in the water. I went and jumped in the pool, and I jumped in the hot tub, and I came back. And then like, I was trying to like, it was okay, people are having their experience. I'm going to, because it was guided, it was safe and all that sort of stuff. And I started giggling, and I started laughing. I was like, yo, the playlist is fire.
You were having the best time of your life. Wow.
And so, but by the end of it, people were like, yo, I heard your happiness and your laughter. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. Like, and it changed my mood. And I was like, it's really the simplicity of like, be in your own joy, and you'll bring people in it.
I've heard the term intentional sunshine.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
I like that term
Yeah.
because it is like sometimes even when you're not feeling good, you have to kind of be your own intentional sunshine
Yes.
to
Yeah.
bring your own spirits up and
And
to help others
and
also.
yes, and it's so like what I took away from that was like, okay, my energy can change the energy of the room. Okay. My positive energy can change the energy to positive in the room.
It can also change people's lives.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it. It's
Yeah.
like something as simple as smiling at a stranger as you pass them by on the road literally can change someone's entire day.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are really isolated or really stuck where they are. And it's like these simple things of just like when you pass by someone, you greet them, hey.
Yeah.
Or when at the checkout line, when you say, how are you? Like, how's your day going?
Yeah.
It's just like little things like that really affect people.
Yeah, yeah. Just like, cracking a joke with the, like so the person at the checkout counter or whatever. But it's something that because people, they don't expect to connect. And ultimately, we all want to connect. We're afraid to connect, but we all want to connect. So we look at it, like, we'll watch people do something, play music or dance or do theater or whatever, because they're connected to themselves. Because you got to connect to yourself first, and then you can connect to others. And it's really weird because like acting, the way that you train as an actor is taking away layers. It's like, that's fake. You're putting that on. That's something you learn to be polite. That, okay, let's get to the real person. That's how you become a good actor. Is that's and you have to practice it. Like, it doesn't just happen and it's gone.
That's why they call it the craft.
Yeah. So like, at the theater, like when we doing classes and stuff, one of the reasons why I like this theater is because it keeps you honest. It's like you're dealing in 4 different emotions: happy, sad, afraid, or angry. And like, I know what all those feel like. And so when you're on stage and they're like, okay, choose one of those 4 states, let's see it. If they don't see it, then you don't get to play. It's like, because it's not real. And so like, but in order to be that in front of people at any given moment, we're trained away from it in life so much from a kid. Like from that's when you go to school, you learn you're nice, you're polite, you're this, you're that. It creates these personality locks, right?
Well, it's like, don't cry in front of others.
Yeah.
Stop yelling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're laughing too loud.
Yes.
Stuff like that can just make you just not want to show anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I'm watching like my nephew. He's like 7 going on 8 now. And I'm watching him develop things and like take on personality traits. And I'm like, because I'm the youngest, so I never saw like a person become a person. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm watching, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, ooh, I mean, let me try to straighten that out, because I see where that's going, or whatever it is, because he, I'm watching him just sort of, I think humans, we observe, we learn, and then what we don't know, we pretend till we figure it out.
Well, that's also like they said that a bunch of the babies and toddlers that were born during the COVID, when everyone was wearing masks, that they weren't learning how to smile because they didn't see other people smiling.
Oh my God.
And it was this huge thing of like, how are we going to have these kids learn how to smile?
That's so sad.
I know. It was very sad.
That's so sad.
It was really sad, but it's because they had no one to mirror.
Yeah.
And they had no one to like see and look at. And they weren't able to, I think obviously they had their parents at home.
Yeah.
But when they were interacting with other toddlers, it's like they also couldn't like read facial expressions. They couldn't understand like kind of emotional boundaries, etc., which makes them not be able to set their own emotional boundaries. So again, it's the power of a face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. It's like how we, and I think early childhood development is so important. Again, just watching my nephew, I'm like, oh, okay, you gotta, as an adult, you have the responsibility to like, because we grow whatever it is in in the world, America, whatever you want to call it, like it's grown at home.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the society that we produce this, and it can change because it's just what we're putting into what the kids see us do. He gets his screen time limited or whatever, and so like when we're hanging out, like it's so funny because he'll be on his little screen until I start throwing him on the couch and bouncing, and he's like, oh, and then he's done with the phone. He's like, oh, let's do this.
Well, because that's the more fun thing.
Yeah.
Is to spend time with his uncle
Yeah.
and play and have fun.
Yeah.
The screen, it's like what we would call a soma. It's what
That's
you
so
use to
military.
relax. It's like a pill that you take. Like a good example of that is in this movie Rollerball.
Okay.
Everyone's kind of like society itself is just at this level
Very
where everyone
melancholy.
they're kind of melancholy, but they're also just like all being given this soma to placate them so that they don't pay attention to what else is going on in the world.
Oh my God.
And you take this thing,
Yeah.
whether it's a screen or a pill or
Yes.
something,
Yes.
so that you're just like, oh, everything's okay. I don't need to like go to the book and check out a library and learn where Wi-Fi came from.
And it's so interesting because you remember in 2020 when we kind of got to the end of the internet and people were like, wait a minute, what's going on out here? Hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. Like everybody got, because I was just thinking when you said this, like there's so many examples in cinema, specifically in sci-fi and cinema, of like that little trope, right? Lull of the society, then the people like, well, I'm gonna be doing this. It's like,
Well, because again, it was science fiction turned science fact.
Exactly.
That's the weirdest thing about it is I watch all these sci-fi movies of the 70s and 80s, and I'm like, oh my God, like another really good example is Logan's Run,
Yeah.
where when you turn 30 years old, you are sent to carousel, and it's like, oh my God, assisted suicide is now legal in the state of California and in
Yeah.
the state of Colorado, and I think like 13 other states. And in Canada, if you ask for a new wheelchair and they don't have one for you, they say, have you considered assisted suicide? Oh, you need new glasses? Have you considered assisted suicide? It's messed up.
wait a minute.
I know.
Wait a second.
It's messed up.
What?
It's messed up. They're now suggesting to people, have you considered it? It's messed up.
Wow.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Ayinde.
What?
I know. This is my rabbit hole that I've gone down recently.
Okay, wait.
Is this research on, because I always used to be a proponent for if someone, the right to choose if you want to live or die.
Okay.
I always have believed in that.
Yeah.
And then I went through a situation recently where someone chose to go through with medically assisted suicide. And through the process, I realized there were not enough barriers to make sure that this person actually needed it, because there were doctors that fudged reports saying that they only had a week left to live when that was not the case. There was no psychiatric evaluation. And I was like, how did they let this woman do this?
Wow.
And so I am now kind of against it, I think.
Really?
I think I am.
Okay, yeah.
I think there are situations where, yeah, people might need that, but
Because wait, something just happened in like Europe with this, right?
yeah, so there was that suicide pod in Europe. And when they opened it up, they did their big test run, and they used to, for those of you that haven't heard of this, they call it the Tesla of suicide, where it's this pod and they take you out to the wilderness and you apparently get gassed inside of it. Well, they did their debut run with this old lady. And when they opened up the pod, it turned out she had been strangulated. And it turned out that the gas didn't work. So she had been placed into a vegetative state. And the CEO went and strangled her to death.
This is real?
This is real. And they tried to brush this under the rug, but he got a criminal charge. And I think their company is being shut down kind of silently now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was happening in Europe only a few months ago.
This isn't a Black Mirror episode. This is a real.
But that's what I mean. Science fiction turns to science fact. It feels like a Black Mirror episode.
Holy shit.
And I also like to say it's a conspiracy theory until the CIA white paper comes out on it.
Right.
And then it's real.
And
I mean,
that's
we've
fact.
seen tons of things like against all sorts of communities where it's like you think it's a conspiracy, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, they really were infecting people with like syphilis, and no, they really were doing this to people, and no, they really. But I think TikTok has kind of helped congregate all those people.
Well, I think, the TikTok, and it's interesting because, like, Zuckerberg was like, okay, I'm releasing all of my restrictions on Meta and Instagram, and he came out and he was like, oh, well, Biden made me do that. Because TikTok, the thing about TikTok is that the algorithm is open enough that you can find things and what you're looking for. It's not just given to you. So the internet is such a powerful tool. Because I remember like the black web days, like when it was just a DOS prompt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you would just sit up there like, okay, well, what do I do? And then something pops up, like the Matrix. Like that's what it was for a little while. But this, I think there is if you believe it, it's out there, right? And it's just a matter of like who's giving it to you.
Well,
And
also like I sometimes wonder, it's like It used to be like, for example, if you were into something really weird,
Mm-hmm.
you would never find anyone else that was into that weird thing.
Right,
And
right.
you would just kind of maybe stop being into it because it was so freaking weird and your friends would shame you about
Yes,
it. And
yes.
nowadays it's like, oh, I'm into this weird thing. Let me go find that subreddit where 1,000 other people are on
Yes.
it, all like saying that it's
Yeah.
normal. And it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, see, it's connection. Like we all just want to connect. Even in our weirdest point, we just want to be like, do you feel me?
Yeah, people want that.
Yeah, and that's the human.
Is that a
part
good
of,
thing though, you think? Like the ease of connection?
I think it's human.
But do you think also that like the internet has created a homogenization of everything where everything is kind of starting to be the same?
Yes.
Like there's no like kind of distinct culture anymore for certain things,
Yeah, but I think that
and ideas are quickly able to be, I don't know, spread like wildfire.
yeah, I do think that. I think a lot of it has to do with like promotion. I think
Again,
people,
salespeople.
yeah, like because I have a friend who I have two friends removed, works in like crisis PR and managed like the PR around or the social media around a specific case that shifted into their client's favor. So it's like, and see the thing about it is though, like when you start thinking about all that kind of stuff, you're like, wait a minute, is there really like a man behind the curtain? Like,
Oh, there definitely
you know what I'm saying?
is.
Like because in PR, as you know, is just psychology.
Yes.
It's like, how do I convince people to do this, to think that this is a good thing?
Public relations.
Exactly.
Yeah, it literally is. And a lot of times when I see a new meme pop up, that's a really good example. When I see a new meme pop up, I'm like, okay, where did this meme start?
Right.
And what is this meme trying to get us to do?
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
Luigi Mangione stuff.
Yeah.
That's a really good example.
Yeah.
Of all the girls starting to say, "Oh my God, he's so hot,"
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden it became Joker 2. And I was like, "What's going on here?" Like, chill.
Wait. What was that?
The Luigi Mangione, the guy that
Yeah.
shot over the internet, it spread like wildfire that he was so sexy.
Yeah, I
And then
remember that.
all the girls just like went crazy. And
Yeah.
in Joker 2, it's basically like when Joker goes and he's in the courthouse and it's like Harley Quinn and then all the other girls who are
I
like,
haven't seen Joker 2
no.
yet. Okay.
It's basically like just the courtroom part where everyone,
Okay.
he's turned like Gotham, New York in
Oh,
his
he's become
favor.
that. Oh,
He's
okay,
become
okay,
that.
okay.
And it's like, I saw the same thing kind of happening with that. And I was like, I wonder
Yeah.
who started this meme.
Yeah.
I wonder where it sprouted from.
Yeah.
And why it caught on.
Well, anything that it was pamphlets, it was radio, it was anything that reaches a lot of people is never free for a long time. It's never free to the people for a long time. It all always becomes homogenized and controlled, and but it happens at such a slow pace that you're just like, yeah, this is fine. It's like the water boiling with the frogs.
Frog getting boiled, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden the frog doesn't even realize it's
Yeah,
getting
it's like,
boiled.
this is fine. How did the water start boiling? Like, what the fuck? What are we doing? It's like we keep wanting to rely on these things, these phones, these apps, and all this sort of stuff because again, we want to connect. But it's like, is the point to like? Because everybody's like, oh, we're gonna migrate to another
Red Note.
a red note. And I was like, is going to another corporation the answer? Like, is that really what you're fighting for?
Well, people are just so, again, it's soma. People just want to rot in bed and lie flat and scroll their feed and forget about their life for a few hours and just mindlessly go. I mean, it's the whole thing with alpha waves and beta waves, like when you watch film versus when you watch digital. Because I think beta waves activate active cycles in your brain and alpha waves put you to sleep, and that's why you can watch hours upon hours of television without having to get up. But like a movie, if you go see a film movie, you're tired within the 2 hours. It's because of alpha and beta cycles.
I didn't know that.
It's really fascinating, but like that's like your phone. It just
Okay.
allows your eyes to glaze over and you can forget about things for a while.
See, I didn't even know that.
Just brain rot.
I did not
Lie
know
flat. It's just how it is.
Just lay out and take it in. What is the point though? Like, why? But if it is a conspiracy, if somebody is doing it, why?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
But like,
like-
why is any conspiracy done?
Yeah.
I think maybe to control.
It's like, okay, so you control
Manipulate.
everybody. You control everybody. You make all this money. You manipulate. You're like, I'm the boss. Okay, so then what?
I guess that's some people's goal in life, though.
I guess.
Your goal in life is probably 100% different than that.
I mean, I never wanted to be like the brain from Pinky and the Brain. Like my sister always wanted to be that. And I was like, why don't we just hang out? But I don't know. Like, I don't like being manipulated.
I don't think most people do, but most people don't know they're being manipulated for sure. So that's all the time that we have for today. But Ayinde, is there any final thought that you want to share with the audience?
Yes, I am going to share more of these conspiracy theories and my upbringing in my one-man show called 16 Summers, which is up now. I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but it's up now at the gang. But I plan to be doing this all year. So just look out for it.
That's it for today. Thank you so much to Ayinde Howell for coming onto the show. If you'd like to keep up with Ayinde, I know you can do so on his Instagram at Ayinde. That's spelled Ayinde. But Ayinde, do you have your TikTok? So people can keep up with you?
I think, hold on. Yes, I do. Okay. I don't even know what it is. I think it's phonetically spelled out. Let me see. I'm going to open it. No. Yes. Okay. So it's AHH_YIN_DAY. Ayinde.
I like that we are finally uncovering your true self on TikTok. These people will now know you there.
Oh my God. Come see all of my weird, crazy conspiracy theories, and then thoughts that I think I'm too shy to expose to my actual friends on Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks, Ayinde.
You're welcome. Thank you. This was fun.
This was really fun. I'm Gala Avery, and this has been The Gala Show. The Gala Show is brought to you by Avery.com. This episode was executive produced by Roger Avery and produced by Gala Avery. Music composed by Andy Milburn. As always, I'm your host, Gala Avery. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Despite me sharing the same last name with this charity, I don't have any affiliation with it, besides the fact the issue is very near and dear to my heart. Did you know that in the United States, 2.7 million children currently have a parent in prison, and it's estimated that 10 million children have experienced parental incarceration at some point in their lives? I was one of these kids, and as an adult, I am really grateful to be able to give back to Project Avery. Their mission is to build leadership from within by supporting community through programs such as mentoring and outdoor education, and also to remove the stigma surrounding having a parent that's incarcerated. You don't have to feel alone. If you know a kid who could use these resources or would like to donate money or time to the charity, please go to Project Avery, that's AVARY.org, to check out what this amazing charity is all about. Again, that's projectavery.org. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.